What's up, guys? Captain McFly here, and welcome to On Deck, the podcast where we talk about video games and the industry. If this is your first time here, we also talk about movies and pop culture and things like that, and we do it all live here on twitch.tv/CaptainMcFly. We also post it on YouTube and every place that you can find podcasts. And today we are going to be talking about PlayStation Studios, a brand new venture for Sony that might be a really big brain chess play, and I'm going to tell you why. So in case you haven't seen it, Sony recently has put out a brand new logo announcing PlayStation Studios. Now, some may think, well, what does this mean? Why is this important? Well, this is very, very interesting amidst a new console generation launch. Microsoft did something very similar to this back before our current generation, the Xbox One and then the PS4, that generation of the console cycle. So Sony doing this right before the next gen, to me, raises a lot of questions. Why do this? Why put all your first party titles under this larger banner? Okay. It also has a very similar like Marvel Studios build out, this very like, this is all PlayStation. When you see these titles, you think of PlayStation. You see Kratos from God of War, Nathan Drake from Uncharted, Ellie from Last of Us, Sackboy, Ratchet and Clank. These are all big tentpole first party games. All right. This is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, to me, what really stands out is this could maybe mean we start to see Sony first party titles branch out from first party hardware. Okay. Why else would you do this? You know, why else would you make a umbrella studio, but only keep it on your platforms? As we're moving forward to this next cycle, PS5, Xbox One X, they're very much, or Xbox Series X, I should say, are basically as powerful as PCs at this point. They're just as strong, both in the guts and at a very compelling price point. But they also realize too, you can't really play these games in other places besides Sony, and there's a lot of gamers out there. Imagine playing God of War on PC. Imagine playing Uncharted on PC. Imagine playing Horizon on PC. This is a very big brain play from Sony. And whether they haven't said anything about it or not, but I really do think that this is how they are going to approach it. This is how they're going to go through it. So there's actually an article from gamesindustry.biz. They're the ones that broke the news about this. And so we're going to read a little bit right here. And I'm also going to link this in the show notes. So be sure to give it a click and make sure you check it out so they can get the credit. So, and I quote from Eric Lempel, the Senior Vice President and Head of Global Marketing at Sony Interactive. "We are very excited about this. Over the last few years and even the last decade, the strength of our titles coming out from our studios have been stronger than ever. We have been thinking about how we can unite all these games under one brand. And really the purpose of that is to make the consumer understand that when they see this brand, they're going to get a robust, innovative, deep experience they've come to expect from gaming and coming from PlayStation. So we've come up with PlayStation Studios. So PlayStation Studios branding won't be ready in time for the launch of Last of Us Part 2 or Ghost of Tsushima, which are both due to arrive this summer, which, by the way, means those games will be coming out before the launch of the PlayStation 5. And then it'll also miss the launch of Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. Okay. So I think that's an important footnote to put, that this isn't occurring before the next console launch. Everything that's coming out up until then, these slates and also Horizon going on to PC. Although Lempel says any future games its releases on other platforms will also carry the branding. Alongside game developers by Sony's first-party studios such as Naughty Dog, Insomniac, Sony Santa Monica, Media Molecule, and Guerrilla, the PlayStation Studios brand will also apply to games that are made by work-for-hire developers under Sony's direction. So this also extends beyond not proprietary-owned studios. If it's made specifically for Sony or published by Sony, it will be under that Sony Studios umbrella. That's also a very interesting thing to keep in mind. If our studios are managing the production of these games and are working with an external developer, it will still come out under the PlayStation Studio brand, Lempel details. It doesn't mean that we outright own the developer. It just means that we brought it up as a first party. In a lot of cases, we don't own the developer. Yeah, so I'm going to circle back. All of this is cool. It has me wondering why do this at all? You know, Microsoft did something similar with this with the Xbox generation for its first party titles. Does this mean that PlayStation titles might be getting ready to come to PC? We're already seeing it with Horizon Zero Dawn. And I have a feeling seeing something like this could mean that Sony is either open to the opportunity of finally branching out to being available other places than their own home base. This is a very big deal and a very big evolution for the consumer gamer and also the creators themselves, the developers and the publishers. You know, I believe we are marching towards this one day where the hardware that you play on doesn't really matter and that everybody can kind of play everywhere. I have a feeling we're getting there and we're moving in that direction. And Sony is ahead at this generation too. So why do this? You know, you are leading. You have a massive lead compared to your competition. They can't touch you. They cannot catch up to you. Xbox has made moves to make their games accessible, you know, by becoming partners with Nintendo, you know, with their Xbox Live compatibility and things like that. Xbox is making moves to make sure that they can either A, catch up or ensure that they're going to be able to have their games accessible beyond their hardware, especially on Nintendo hardware, far cheaper, half the cost in some cases. I think Sony looked at this, and maybe it already been planning it. We're not sure. I don't have any insider knowledge with Sony, but I believe Sony is looking at this like, we need to be prepared to make moves to be accessible beyond our hardware because our competitor is doing just that. I believe this is Sony making the groundwork to keep up in the fight and either maintain the lead or at least have an answer back to Microsoft if and when they announce more cross-play and cross-accessibility of proprietary first-party games and experiences. Now, some of you may disagree. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But I believe Sony is preparing to make their games ready to play anywhere. Playing on your... although Sony and Nintendo getting in bed together would be insanely interesting, considering their company's history, butting heads. If you'd like to know more about that, I highly recommend you read Jason Schreier's Console War... Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, and also check out Console Wars as well if you are interested in just the games industry and just its history. It's very, very interesting. Good reads, and also great audiobook versions as well. Both are well read and are just very, very interesting. Very interesting. It'll bring a lot of context between those two Japanese countries, or not, those two Japanese companies, and how it is actually going to be very shocking if they find a way to work together. It'll be very interesting. But yes, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Sony is preparing to work with other platforms and be able to put their games out there? It seems like a big brain play to me, and I think that's exactly what they're doing with Sony Studios. And again, guys, hope you enjoyed listening to these thoughts about Sony Studios and why this is probably a huge big brain chess move. If you would like, feel free to let me know what you think in the comments below. We do this live on twitch.tv/CaptainMcFly. You can also find this on podcast platforms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and any other place that you can find podcasts. And we'll also post the video version of this over on YouTube. All the links for that will be in the notes below. Thank you for your time. Be excellent to each other, and we'll see you all on the next one.